Warning, unsolicited observation coming. That was the first line of a text message that I got from my friend Kara 9 years ago. And after seeing that it was about a scroll and a half of a text, I realized very quickly, maybe this isn't something that I want to keep reading. But I was kind of curious, so I braced myself and I continued. She said, "You post all the time on social media about not worrying so much about achievement and about the importance of slowing down. You truly live life to every inch possible. But pardon me for saying so, but you don't seem content or fulfilled. I wish you would believe the things that you share with the rest of us." I have never in my life felt so exposed by a text message. There was no part of me that wanted to say, "Oh, hey, thank you for being so honest. I really needed that today. Thank you for your unsolicited observation." No, my first thought was, "Oh no, like who else can see through me right now?" Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever wondered, like, is the way I'm presenting on the surface, is it hiding all the mess that's happening behind the scenes? That was my first thought. That's what I was worried about. Let me take you back to 6 months before I got that text message. On the surface, I had everything together. I was at the top of my career. I was a decade in. I had just been recognized as the #1 health promotion professional in the United States by the Wellness Council of America. I was helping our organization and our clients get recognized as best places to work, and I had just delivered my first keynote on a national stage. I felt like I was absolutely crushing it, and so did everyone around me. But what they didn't know is that my life was behind the scenes, completely unraveling. I had all the awards and accolades on the surface that made people impressed by me, but my life was falling apart. It started with a dream that I was drowning, which is a pretty sure sign that your life is about to unravel. And then I started having trouble with my memory. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody, and in the middle of the conversation, your words just vanish? You're like, I had a thing I wanted to say. I don't know where the words went. And then a couple months after that happened, because I was, too busy to be bothered by any of that nonsense, I got sicker than I've ever been. My lymph nodes felt like they were the size of golf balls. My throat felt like sandpaper. I have never in my life been so exhausted. I'd sleep 12 hours a night and wake up the next day feeling like I'd slept for 3. And I did all the things that you're supposed to do to fix your health, like take shots of apple cider vinegar and drink kale smoothies, and none of it worked. And so on Valentine's Day, I end up in my doctor's office, which is a very romantic way to spend Valentine's Day, if you're looking for ideas. And I'm sitting next to my husband, and I'm telling my doctor what's going on, and he looks at me and he says, "Rachel, would you say this was brought on by work, or that you brought this on yourself?" And in that moment, this warm tear rolled down my cheek. It was a knowing tear. Because as much as I wanted to blame my job, and I think, let's be honest, all of us would. I mean, when you're in HR, you're probably doing like 3 jobs for the price of one anyway. And I wanted to blame my job, but I knew deep down that the reason I was in that spot, the reason I had gotten so sick, was because for my whole life, I had decided that I needed to be the best, that I needed to be impressive, that I needed to be put together and on top of things all the time. And I was terrified of anyone finding out any other version of me, of getting to know any other version of me. So I had done this to myself, the pressure that I had heaped on myself. Do you ever find that you put so much pressure on yourself that you feel like you're going to crack? It's a lot. And I did that. I was diagnosed with Epstein-Barr virus, which is just a fancy way of saying that I burned out at 32 years old. And here's the kicker. At the time this happened, I was the director of wellbeing at my company, which is not a good look, and I felt like an absolute fraud and a failure. This is not what this person's supposed to look like or how they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be healthy all the time, and I was anything but that. But the gift of that experience, the gift of bottoming out, is that it opened me up and it gave me a shift in perspective.